Actor Kevin Spacey finally faced a judge today in one of the few criminal cases since the Me Too movement began. And judging from the media swarm as he made his way into Nantucket District Court this morning, there's plenty of interest in how this plays out.
This complaint charges that in the town of Nantucket on July 8, 2016, did commit indecent assault and battery on person 14 or over.
Spacey's attorney pled not guilty on his behalf during a brief arraignment. The actor was ordered to stay away from his accuser. Spacey is accused of groping the then 18-year-old son of former Boston News anchor Heather Unruh after he bought many drinks for the teen who says he told Spacey he was of age, 23. It was Unruh who came forward more than a year ago to share her son's story.
Kevin Spacey bought him drink after drink after drink. And when my son was drunk, Spacey made his move and sexually assaulted him.
This case is one of dozens of accusations against Spacey, but so far it's the only one to go to trial. So is it on solid ground? Joining me to discuss are Ellen Zucker, her partner Burns Levinson, who has represented multiple women in sexual misconduct claims against their employers. Good to see you, Ellen.
Good to see you.
J.W. Carney is a former assistant district attorney, represented Whitey Bulger, and multiple men accused of sexual misconduct. Jay, it's good to see you, too. What are the obstacles, primary obstacles facing the prosecution in this case?
I think this will be a very difficult case for the prosecutor.
Why?
Well, we're not talking about a child here. We're talking about an adult alleged victim. This person could have made his own decision. He obviously was quite enamored of Mr. Spacey, approached him, began talking to him, accepted multiple drinks from him, lied to him about his age.
By the way, all of that so far is pretty much, from what I understand, agreed to by the complaint in this case. But
Yep.
Go ahead.
And all of this makes it very, very difficult, in my opinion, for the prosecutor to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that if there were any touching, that it wasn't consensual.
Does it make it difficult, those sets of facts? And by the way, there seems to be agreement that the alleged groping went on for 3 minutes, that the complainant did not ask Spacey to stop, which sort of adds some fuel to the contentions that Jay's making, no?
I think there are challenges in this case. I think there are challenges. And whether or not this case would have created the stir if there weren't the context around Kevin Spacey, I'm not sure.
What context?
Well, what we know from reports is that since last fall, there have been a virtual cavalcade, a cascade of allegations against him from his time at the Old Vic, from his time at House of Cards, where he would proposition come on to assault members of staff and often underage young men.
So, but obviously I assume that's not going to come before a jury. You're just saying it's in the air, and whether the jurors say it or not, they know that. It's
in the air, and it may well fuel some of the energy around the prosecution and some of the public attention to it. Now, that said, you know, one of the things this case reminds me of is, frankly, our president and a statement he made on the run-up to his election.
Which one?
Which is that he can grope women in their private parts because they let him, because he is rich and famous.
But the Access Hollywood
and so
tape.
the Access Hollywood tape. And so one of the questions here is going to be whether someone in Kevin Spacey's position, knowing that a young man, I think, if I understand the allegations correctly, wanted to be introduced to him, wanted to meet him.
He initiated that, yeah.
And whether that amounts to consent to having your zipper unzipped and having your genitals
grabbed. I would argue that it amounts to having your zipper unzipped.
It
because
does not.
If a woman wanted to meet Harvey Weinstein, then all of a sudden that means she consented to his behavior?
And that is, I think, the case the prosecution's going to make, is that given his power, what he basically is saying is that I know, because of my power and because of my fame, I can get away with doing this.
I want to ask you about
two things. And I think that's what the prosecution is going to say, is that this is a moment for us to say no.
I want to ask about two things that are in the pleadings that are being reported today from the defense. One, they seem to go after Heather Unruh, his mother, and say things, this is verbatim. Heather Unruh has taken the unusual step of investigating and attempting to interview witnesses herself. No one has come forward to substantiate or corroborate. Forget the second half for a second. If I'm sitting on a jury, I don't want to hear the defense attacking the mother, a caring mother, of someone who contends that they were sexually assaulted, do I?
It depends. What's her real motivation here? The fact that she has a press conference and has her civil trial attorney sitting next to her
Mitchell Garabedian
for the expected civil suit, that raises questions about her motives.
And could you raise that issue?
Absolutely.
That not just her, but the fact that she had an attorney who would be involved in a potential civil suit in a city.
Absolutely.
How about this issue? In these same pleadings, the contention made by Spacey's lawyers, mutual and consensual flirtation, nothing more. That's verbatim. It seems to me that sets the foundation, I'm not a trial lawyer like you two, for the defense to say, you can believe both sides here. You can believe that the young man believed that he was being sexually assaulted, and you can believe that Kevin Spacey, under the circumstances, being told by the young man that he was 23 when he was 18, a ton of drinks being served to him, by the way, by the establishment where he worked, which must have known that he was underage, he believed he was being assaulted. Spacey believed it was consensual. Isn't that a possible outcome here, thus not guilty?
It's a possible defense, but I think that walks right into a very strong prosecution argument.
Which is what?
Which is that just because Kevin Spacey thinks that he should be able to get away with unzipping a man's pants and grabbing his genitalia, flirtation is not an invitation to assault. And with respect to going after the mother, I think they do so at their peril. What we know, at least as alleged, is that this young man told his mom about the assault that week. It wasn't a long time after, and so her desire to come forward on the heels of other allegations about Kevin Spacey, if they raise Heather Unruh's motivation, all of the other factors will come in.
I want to ask you about maybe the most bizarre video I've ever seen in my life. I don't know if you're House of Cards fans, but we've all seen this video that Kevin Spacey made and released shortly after the charges were filed, late December. As Frank Underwood, his character in House of Cards, here's a small part, him indirectly, it seems, responding to the charges. Here's Spacey.
I mean, if you and I have learned nothing else these past years, it's that in life and art, nothing should be off the table. We weren't afraid, not of what we said, and not of what we did, and we're still not afraid. Because I can promise you this. If I didn't pay the price for the things we both know I did do, I'm certainly not going to pay the price for the things I didn't do.
Who does this help, Jay Carney?
No one, and it will never see the light of day, in my opinion,
in the courtroom?
At the trial.
Why not?
It has no relevance to the trial. You don't know if he's talking in character about this situation or not. I don't think it's admissible in the slightest.
Is it admissible? Should it be admissible?
I think it will depend on how the defense plays its cards. I think it may well be admissible. It depends what they argue and what doors they open. Some of the defense that's been suggested thus far would open the door to this video coming in. And frankly, I think the video is nothing short of creepy. I mean, there are other portions where he says, "I know what you want." And that, to me, is a state of mind that is going to be very much at issue in this trial, whether these powerful guys get to decide what people want and act accordingly without asking for consent.
You don't think that language plus the timing here almost immediately after the charges were filed by the Cape and Islands DA makes this an admissible thing for the jury? Too prejudicial?
Not.
Is that your point, or just irrelevant?
Irrelevant. Completely irrelevant.
Before you go, I'm sorry, this may not be relevant. What's that tie?
My son Nat was 4 years old and in preschool when he made this tie for me for Father's Day. I wear it once a year. And this morning, I decided, well, I'm going to wear the tie today.
We're honored. Best to your son. Good to see you,
Thanks,
Jay.
Jim.
Thanks so much, Ellen.
Great to see
Pleasure
you.
as always. Good to see you.